Welcome to another episode of One on One with Mitch Lafon. Joining me this week from Great White, Mark, Kendall, and Michael Lardie. We talk about the band's brush with Guns N' Roses back in the day, working on a new album, and of course the rest of their upcoming 2016. And then on the other side, this is a two-parter. I've got an interview with Mark Fox of the great Swiss band Chakra. They have a new album coming out in February called High Noon. I have had a chance to hear it, and it is absolutely fantastic. By far, one of the best albums of 2016. And I'm talking as we go forward into December here, down the road, it will still be one of the best albums of the year. So Chakra, High Noon. But let's get started with Great White. Here is Mark and Michael. We are speaking with Mark, Kendall, and Michael Lardie of the Great White, right? The great band Great White. Good day, Mark. How are you?
How you doing?
Good.
How you doing, Mitch?
Good. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And Michael, always a pleasure to talk to you. It's been many, many years of great conversations.
It's always a treat and a joy to work with you on any level, Mitch. I mean, besides just the interviews, I mean, doing the
Kiss tribute.
The Kiss tribute was amazing.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, everything about Mitch Lafon is absolutely spot on, and we enjoy the hell out of it.
Oh,
and music related.
Yeah, it's all about the music. I'm a total music geek, and I've been a fan of Great White going back to, oh God, I guess 86, 87. When was what was it? Once Bitten. What was right before Once Bitten? Shot in the Dark. Shot
in the Dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from that album on.
Okay, that's 85.
85. So literally for me, right out of high school, I graduated in 1985. So there you go. So much to talk about. The last thing, one of the last big things that you did that sort of got a lot of attention, was this Metal Meltdown of 2015 with Extreme, Twisted Sister, Skid Row, and it was filmed. Is anything going to happen with that?
Yeah, eventually it's going to get released this year sometime. I mean, they're working feverishly on trying to get all the editing done for each show. That makes it, complex because they're basically telling four stories with four different bands, and then there's audio to be mixed for each one of the bands. Then there's also dialogue that has to be laid into all the interview footage. And I know that Mark is actually going to add some more content interviewing. I think it's tomorrow, right, Mark?
Yes. Yeah, tomorrow. It's and from what Don Wilson, the guy doing the editing and stuff, said our thing is very close to being finished. It's like, this is just something to add in to tie in some details.
So it's not just a concert sort of DVD. There's more of a documentary to it, is from what I understand, right?
Yeah, it's going to be so many different levels. I mean, there's going to be actually an audio CD release.
That's great.
There's going to be a DVD Blu-ray. There's going to be a full-length feature movie with kind of the best of from each band with a little bit of documentary footage. And then the big enchilada is what they're trying to do is shop it to one of the cable networks. I've heard rumors about Showtime having it be kind of like a Sonic Highways, where you have each band has their own episode. So that could go for any duration of time, 1.5, 2 hours, per band. And then, they play it for a while and they go on to the next band. So that's the exciting part for us, because that's going to be something that really gives us the opportunity to tell the real Great White story.
Right. And, and in Skid Row's case, they could also do a hunt for a new singer kind of thing.
It'd be a good format for that.
That'd be kind of funny. The last time you were, well, not the last time, but one of the times you were in Vegas, you had also recorded a show. This is probably going back 15 years. That never came out. Is that something that at some point we might see as a special release or anything? Do you remember that show from 2005, I guess it was, or something like that?
If you don't, Mark, I know what it is. What he's talking about. It's that acoustic.
I don't remember
that acoustic you guys did at the Palms.
Oh yeah, that was the Jack Russell thing. Yeah, that was just not a very good recording. I don't know if it would be releasable.
Well, that's so. Speaking of releases, though, the last one was in 2012, Elation, and then sort of re-released with George Tutko, who unfortunately has passed away. Talk to me about working with George, because he had done Duran Duran and some other bands, and where do we see ourselves going forward with new Great White material?
Well, we are working on material. I know we had a flurry of new ideas last January and February. Mark and I working like crazy people. And, throughout the year, we've been so busy with touring that we have indeed continued to write riffs and stuff. And I know Mark and I are going to get together real soon and kind of like recompile. Hey, like what did you get up to over the last 9-10 months to see where we're at? But Mark was pointing out it's a very valid point. The timing of when you would want to think about going into the studio and releasing something new, because you wouldn't want it to conflict with this big project that's about to come out.
Right. Unless, of course, you're doing some kind of soundtrack to it, but that's a different story.
Well, what we actually made a deal with them that we wouldn't release any of the songs that are on it, as far as that goes, until 9 months. Like if we wanted to do like an acoustic record, maybe give people a different look of the songs, or something. Anything that would be on that on the release for Metal Meltdown, that we wouldn't do that. So it's not really so much that, but just having people going in all these different directions. We got this out, and now we got the, what I mean, the Metal Meltdown release, which is going to be released by Frontiers as well. So it's going to be a product out there. And if we release our studio album too at the same time, it's, you know what I mean?
Right.
So there is a little bit of timing stuff going on there, but it's not hindering our progress as far as our writing and stuff. You know what I mean?
No. And now, of course, we're talking about this live show. Does that mean it's this summer you're going to go back on the road, or are you sort of hanging back waiting for this project? Is there a package tour or something coming up?
There's always possibilities. I mean, you always put in for any kind of package tour that's out there. We don't know specifically. Our agent is continuing to book. Don't you find it, Mark, that like almost every 2 or 3 days you get an email saying, "Hey, we got this one. Hey, we got
this and that." And we're doing Rocklahoma and a lot of the festivals over in Europe. We're playing Bang Your Head and the one in the UK, the Firefest or whatever. And I think, I actually, some fan got a hold of me for the one in Montreal, that festival they have out there.
Yep, Heavy Montreal.
Yeah, but unfortunately, and they would have been totally excited. It's like they didn't think of us type deal, because the guy got back to me and he's going, "You should have got a hold of me earlier." He goes, "Put your bid in for 2017 because we're not accepting any more bands or something like that." So,
that's a pity.
That would have been sweet.
Yeah, that would have been great, because that's the one I'm at every year.
I know. I thought of that. I'm going, God, Mitch will be there for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, I work at it. I mean, I do all the interviews backstage at Heavy Montreal. But speaking of tours, there's one that's in the news these days quite a bit. And Michael, you have a somewhat of a connection to it. Is Guns N' Roses, this reunited thing? They're going out. They're going to do a few shows. You worked on the Guns N' Roses album, the first one, or you worked with Guns N' Roses. Just explain to the folks how you were involved in that.
Well, obviously, the immediate connection was that we were managed by the same person, Alan Niven.
Right.
And there was a period of time when Mike Clink was pretty much over dealing with the boys after 5 months in the studio, and was just exhausted. And he's an amazing engineer and great producer, and wasn't feeling it anymore. So he needed to take a break, but they needed to keep going forward. So they were going to factor it out to other people to mix. And they sent 5 or 6 songs to Thompson and Barbiero in New York. and gave myself and Alan 2 or 3 tunes to mix. And I remember mixing Mr. Brownstone, and with that very much in your face kind of
Right.
thing that it sounded like was appropriate for what they were doing. And I remember Slash and Axel kind of jumping up and down in the control room, saying, "That's fucking it," as far as like how they were supposed to sound. So, I just kind of put it as like, "Oh, cool, man." I mean, that's, if we get the gig, then we get the gig. That'd be awesome. But I think Zootout kind of like lent it toward Thompson and Barbario because he sent them Jungle, Paradise City, Sweet Child of Mine, and we got Brownstone, My Michelle, and Rocket Queen, which are all great songs. But
Yeah.
I think they were kind of stacking the deck, and
but not the A songs. I mean, but they're great
so
songs, but not.
I think the guys who were wanting to go to New York to hang out and listen to mixes, so it was all good. As it turned out, the Brownstone mix that I did was eventually on the flip side of I think it was the Welcome to the Jungle 12-inch thing. I think it was the B side of that. And Ton Mastery, who used to, God bless her, that used to be at KNAC for
Right.
years and years and years, actually would only play that version. So bless her heart for that.
That's interesting because I knew you did those songs, but I don't think I actually knew that it had an official release. So that's actually new news for me. I always thought that it was one of these hidden in the vault kind of things.
No, it was in a small vault, but still exposed.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I should have done more. Would have been nice to see you on Use Your Illusion and all that other stuff. Mark, I want to ask you about your time with Great White because you are sort of one of the unsung heroes of the guitar world. People say, "Oh, Eddie Van Halen and this and that," and they don't say Mark Kendall enough, which is ridiculous if you ask me. But you've stayed true to Great White. Did you ever get offers from other bands and say, "Hey, so and so, hey, CC DeVille just left. Why don't you come and join us?" Or hey, or did you always just sort of say, "No, I'm Great White, and this is where I'm going to stay"? I mean, I know you took some time off, but were you always just sort of focused on being a one-band guy?
Well, I mean, I played on every other people's stuff. Like I played on Glenn Hughes' album. I played on a Poison record where they did some kind of thing where they did like more of a retro version of their hits. I don't know if they ever did anything with it, but CC DeVille was jumping around the room going, "How do you guys do that, man? How do you do that?" But as far as being on all the Guitar Hero, I maybe I don't play enough notes. I'm not, I mean, I don't know. I just kind of play what's in my head, and but as far as a live situation, I think I've got enough accolades to motivate me to keep playing, but I don't really need that kind of validation. I'm more interested in making the songs really good, you know what I mean? And as far as the dedication to the band, you know, we can do everything that we want to do in this band, so there's really not a ton of reason for me to go out and do something, except I have done a couple records away from Great White. I did a solo album about 9 years ago,
Right.
and to where I got to sing and and just kind of mess around, and it was a lot of fun. And then I made a band project called Train Station where I had like Dickie Sims from Eric Clapton, and he has that because he played on cocaine and shot the sheriff and all that, so it was that sound he gets, with the Leslie and everything, and that was a lot of fun. So I've got my chances to do little projects outside the band, but my focus is always with this band.
Yeah, and it's never deviated. But because I just thought, especially as some of the bands change these guys all the time, it's like, why is Mark not getting a call? Why is Mark? And then I said to myself, well, maybe Mark is getting the call, but he just thinks, hey, no, I got my gig, and I'm not going to move on. Michael, one of the bands you've worked with or been associated with was Kajagoogoo. Remember them from
Mm-hmm.
Shy? Uh, Talk to me a little bit about working with that band, because wasn't that sort of outside of the whole rock realm, and isn't that sort of a strange band to be associated with?
Well, it's was working when I was a staff engineer at Total Access,
Right.
and their producer engineer came in to record the record, and I was the staff guy, looking after things, and all great guys in that band, and the record was quite good. It was actually the first record they did without the original singer. The bass player stepped up and did the vocals, and it turned out great. But I mean, under Ken Scott, who's been in so many ways my mentor. He taught me to be fearless cutting tape. He taught me how to make things separated and clean. It's just his lineage from the things that he's done, and most assuredly the things that he taught me, even if he wasn't in a teaching mode, just by observing what he was doing, was incredible. I got a chance to work with Level 42.
Wow.
And, previous to ever really landing in the rock world full stop, when I was coming up as an engineer, I did a lot of punk records. I mean, I worked with
Black Flag, that's right.
I mean, just crazy bands that, but to me, it was like, even if I didn't love the music I was recording, it was just learning more. It's like teaching, being able to teach myself how to record all types of music and all types of instruments, and I think that hopefully made a difference down the line. But you stay open to things about music, and doubling back to a point that Mark made about the fact that writing music for Great White is very satisfying, because we are not a one-trick pony. Thankfully, we have a lot of different styles and a lot of different feels in our music, and we can stretch out and do, hard, fast, heavy rock, and we can go, into ballads that have a little bit of a country flair to them. We can mix the blues with, the country or the hard rock. I mean, we have, a lot of different looks that we can come up with. And I think, for me anyway, that's very satisfying. That doesn't make me think, oh, I'm not really getting that part of myself, creatively excited. We because of the different looks, I think that makes a big difference as far as the, connection to feel very close to this band and feel satisfied when working within the framework.
So actually, let me pick up on what you're saying about the band, because the band has done songs that I wouldn't say they're like pure heavy metal, but they're exceptionally hard rock and stuff like that, and you've done the more the softer side. As you approach this new album that you're going to release, maybe in 2017, maybe at the end of this year, what are the parameters in terms of writing? Do you say, oh man, we got to write like 1987 and make another Once Bitten? Or do you say, we're free now. We can do whatever we want. The fans are going to show up to hear the hits. So musically, we don't have to write a hit. We can just do whatever we want.
Well, I think you want to write music that your fans will recognize. But I think, it really comes down to not having a template. Because I know Mark and I are definitely in lockstep on this. We don't want it to be Elation the sequel,
Right.
Or we don't want it to be Once Bitten Part 2. There are elements of all of our records that hopefully we can interject into what we're doing. But I think with Mark, as far as my observation, and certainly with myself, is I think new material at this point in our career, we kind of have to be slaves to the idea that whatever comes out of us is what should be. And
Right.
those should be the songs that get put on a record, I think.
Which is the way it's always been. And the only thing that I'm have even preconceived or even thought about in advance about this new album is different grooves, that what's going to happen underneath with some of the, just beats, and that's the only thing I've thought about. And it's one of the first times I've ever really thought about what type of a drum groove would be really great with this song. You know what I mean? I've never really thought that way in the past. I just try to come up with the best stuff I can, and it's whatever comes out. If it seems like it's worth pursuing, then I keep going with it.
Right.
But we've never sat down and go, hey, let's get together and we're going to have a meeting. We need to do this type of a record. We've never really done that before. We've never done like a concept kind of know what's going to happen deal. It's kind of like the best songs make it. And the other good thing is with the name of the band, it really doesn't dictate what kind of music we have to play, I mean, I know it's Great White. There's a shark in there, but maybe that shark might be cruising one day or maybe he's going to eat you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, we don't have a name like, to where we have to write Kill Your Parents every song, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Okay.
That type of a name. So that's kind of cool, and it's a cool name, and that's really part of the reason that I haven't just gone off and done a ton of other things, because the full I can do whatever I want in this band, and I just totally get the gonads out. You know what I mean? So there's nothing I'm missing. Usually, guitar players can't do what they want in their band, so that they go off and do their tons of solo stuff or some other thing that they want to do that wouldn't make sense in their own band, but that's not the case with me.
No, not at all. In fact, I've always found your playing to be very tasteful and also very appropriate for each song. You don't sort of say, "Hey, I'm the lead guitarist. Watch me play." You go, "No, this song requires this," and you've always sort of delivered that, which I've enjoyed. I'll ask you a couple more questions before we wrap up. You mentioned Alan Niven before, and he has mentioned to me that one of his favorite Great White albums was "Sail Away" of '94, and it sort of fell through the cracks because of the whole Nirvana and this and that. Do you have any memories about that album and looking back on it? Do you agree that it's one of these strong albums that maybe just didn't get enough recognition?
Go ahead, Michael.
No, it's an interesting album for me because it was a bridge to where we were, kind of toying with the idea of going to, but wanting to not go so far one way that we were, pigeonholed into that corner. But I mean, for me, it was one of those really, warm, albums that had like a lot of great content in it. A lot of the stories were about disillusionment with the business, and it just kind of like was. And I know for Alan as a lyricist on the record, my observation of that is that it was very freeing for him to be talking about these concepts.
Sure.
It was production wise, it was
Sure.
a different, more stripped down kind of thing, and it's cool to be able to step back and do some stuff like that in your career. So I
No
see
doubt.
why he appreciates it. But that's my memory of it. That it went fairly fast. I mean, faster than we normally do records. And it made a statement for the time.
I think our cuts go deeper than just Rock Me and a couple of the big hits that just
Absolutely.
got so much attention. If you go back and listen to our records, there's going to be things that you hear that going, holy crap, man, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? I mean, not to toot my own horn or say, sit here and tell you how great I am or anything, but you know what I mean? I mean, there's some songs that, our catalog is deep stuff. There's some good stuff back there that maybe wasn't a big radio attention MTV Monster Smash or whatever. That doesn't always have to mean that it didn't have substance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in fact, one of my favorite songs is "Big Goodbye" from Psycho City. That one doesn't get played enough, I don't think. It's a great song.
You want to hear something funny about that?
Yeah,
about that song.
Of course.
When we did the video, we were in transition with our bass player because Dan, what is it? Dan Spitz's brother.
Dave
Spitz.
Spitz. Dave the Beast Spitz.
Dave Spitz. That played on that record.
Right.
Great bass player, but he wasn't gonna become a member or anything. So after the record, he kind of took off, and we went and did a video for the song. And we didn't have a bass player, so we did the video with no bass player. No one's ever said anything.
I was just about to mention it. No, I'm just kidding. No, but that's
you know what I mean.
But it's
We're
a great
just
song.
Around on stage,
yeah.
Two guitar players, a drummer, and a singer, and no one said anything about us not having a bass. Nobody noticed it.
You should have thrown Alan up there to shake his to stay.
Yeah.
And let me finish on this here. Elation and Terry. It was the first album with Terry's voice on it. What does Terry Iluse? I always make his. What does he bring to the band? Does he what flavors and textures does he add to the songs and the live performance?
This is Mark talking, because I know we're not on video, and my voice is a little different than Michael's, but I'll tell you what he did for me. And normally, for one thing, the way we wrote that album was much different than we did it in the past. You get into this routine that you do, and you just get used to doing it that way. And the way I would do it is, or either Michael or I, we would show Jack the melody, and then he would maybe alter it slightly here and there. The difference between Terry is we at some times have just given him the music and he comes back with a song. So that's bringing quite a bit. And also if I do give him a melody, or Michael gives him a melody, he might come back with something close, but give you a complete different idea to look at. And that's never happened before. So that's, for me, that's really exciting because, like, I forget, what was the song, Lowdown? Remember that, Michael? I had this completely different type of a chorus, and he placed it in all these different spots in that chorus. And at first I was ready to go, oh, no, my idea is great. You know what I mean? And I just shut up. I just, for some reason, had this control at that moment instead of just blurting out and saying, no, and listen to it like twice and go, holy crap, that is amazing. You know what I mean? And so that's pretty cool. And apart from that, the positive energy, he's always wanting to, he's just always wanting to come with ideas and keep things raising. And, he's just got really good energy, but a really good singer, well-rounded, man. He's like the Glenn Hughes, he might give you a couple too many riffs at times, but I'd rather say, don't do that there, just keep that kind of straight and give him that exciting riff on this line or whatever, than to have to come up with riffs for the guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he has a library of chops.
And he's a great performer.
Great performer. Gets the crowd, right into the show of the first note, Yeah. And that keeps us all, up a couple notches. We go out there, leave it on the stage and all that, and it's just good stuff.
It really is. And Michael, for you, how do you see Terry in the band? Is what Mark said exactly accurate, or do you have a little different take on what he brings to Great White?
I don't think that it's all that much different. I
Right.
mean, I was going to go back to the historical standpoint of, why we chose Terry. I mean, one of the big things that everyone seems to do when they replace their singer is they go after a clone of the original singer. So as if to go after the idea that, oh, no, miss a beat, the guy sounds just like the original singer. Yeah, that's the safe move. But we were faced with a point where we could look at our going forward as a reboot or a reset, and picking a guy whose vocal timbre is pretty radically different from our former singers, was kind of a bold move. Um, but it's interesting because I remember, back in the day thinking about, God forbid anything should happen to anybody, who would we get? And I always thought the idea of having a singer that sounded like Steve Marriott, would be such a great mix with Mark's guitar playing. How cool that would be! And
Yeah.
I remember Terry coming and subbing on a show we did in Iowa. It was a big festival fair thing, and I think he learned the 12 songs as best he could in a matter of about 2 days,
In an
and
airplane or something.
flew directly from M3 Performance with XYZ and came and did a show with us. And as he's obviously nervous and up there jamming with us and singing the songs, he's doing a really good job. I mean, considering he barely knows the material, and of course over riffing, as Mark was saying. But I could hear that thing that I kind of always imagine. I'm going, a guy with a little bit of a rasp in his voice and got all the blues
Yeah.
chops against Mark's guitar playing. I was like,
Can I mention
yeah.
something about that song that had never happened live?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you remember, I don't even know what song it was, but he went into this big jam, and we just kind of followed it and started jamming on something during this song, and we ended up kind of going, "Hey, that's cool. Let's do that there." Every time. So that's the other thing is if I'm just warming up at soundcheck, I might have a new riff or something. He will launch right in and start singing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that energy is really cool because even Audie had a party one time. And I remember just having a riff, and we sat there and came up with a whole song for, I forget what song it was. But man, it's cool that he's not short on being able to hear music and having a melody idea to attach to your musical idea right away. He's not short on that at all, and that's really cool because it makes my job easier. even though when I do come up, and I'm sure Michael's the same way, when I come up with stuff, I know there's a library of availability with vocal melody over this part. I don't just put chords together and go, God, I hope we get lucky and the singer can come up with something.
Yeah, you kind of have an idea of like melodically where you hear it in your mind's eye,
Yeah.
before you present it. I mean, you have an idea what is possible.
And then the singer is supposed to come in and blow my idea out of the water and make the song fucking amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what he does. And I can just say this from a fan's perspective. I'm glad that you didn't get a cookie cutter of Jack, just because it would have seemed desperate. It would have seemed contrived. And it's nice to hear the songs performed with a sort of a new energy and a new angle to them. I quite appreciate that, and so I thank you for having had the wherewithal to say, hey, you know what? Let's not do this cookie cutter stuff. Let's get a new guy with a new vibe, and he turned out great. And wow, he also did a song.
To me, it's like stretching out for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it was by far the right choice and the right choice of direction. So I commend you for that. It was really well done.
Thank you.
Absolutely well done. Anything else we need to mention? I mean, you'll be on tour all summer long, obviously through North America, mostly through the States, right?
Yeah, actually, we've already got dates in February, March, and April and May this year. So
Wow.
things are starting up pretty soon already again.
Yeah, and it's definitely time for me to make the drive to come see you. If you're not going to come to Montreal or Heavy Montreal, I got to get out there. It's been, you know what? I'm trying to think how long it's been. It's probably been like 10 years or so. It's not right.
Yeah, you got to get out to a show, a good show, a big show like
Yeah.
a festival or something,
Big or
large
small
march
doesn't matter. I would love to see
or
you
small.
intimate. I'd love to see you large. I just need to hear the songs
Okay.
again. It's been too long. Thank you as always.
Okay.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch.
Cheers.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And there you have it, folks. My interview with the great Michael Lardie and Mark Kendall of the band Great White. Always a pleasure to talk to Michael and Mark. Have loved the band since easily 1985. They just, they were that blues rock encapsulated. It was fantastic, and I love what they do. But hey, let's keep this going. Let's get over to Chakra. Let's take a trip over to Switzerland. The band's been around for almost 20 years, and their new album reunites them with recently departed singer Mark Fox. He's come back to the fold, and High Noon is an absolute masterpiece. The first time I played it, I listened to all the songs in one sitting. There was no, I'll have 3 here and I'll listen to those 2 later. No, the whole thing. It was just that good. So High Noon by Chakra, and here is singer Mark Fox. We are speaking with Mark Fox of the band Chakra out of Switzerland. Their new album is High Noon. And I have to say, Mark, other than hello, I have to say that album is absolutely glorious. Every single song on there is brilliant. So
thank you very much. I really like that, to hear that.
Yeah, and that's sincere. And so the other thing that I guess let's get right into it. It's your return to the band. You left in 2009, and you took some time away. You made your own album, 2012, Lucifer, under the name of Fox. And here you are in 2016 back with Chakra. So how did the conversation get started? After their last singer left, did they call you, or did you say, hey, maybe I have a chance? Or how did the conversation get started?
Yeah, it's about 1.5 years ago. Chris Von from Crocus, you know that? You know him?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Crocus, come on, Ballroom Blitz.
He's a good friend of mine for so many years, and I made good things with him. He worked with me on 2012 on Lucifer, and I worked with him for Hoodoo Woman, for Hoodoo, and for what's called the other one?
The other one, right?
Dirty Dynamite, of course. Right. I made the backing vocals. I have 2 platinum albums, so because of that, not from my band, but from his band. But that's okay, because to have 2 platinum albums is always okay. Right. And he called me, and I was really like, what's happening now? And he told me, what do you think about to join Chakra again? And I really didn't know what to say. I said, okay, I have to think about it about 2 or 3 days. In fact, it was 2 or 3 hours I had to think about it. And I called him back and said, yeah, okay, why not? We can discuss this. And it was Thomas Moster, our rhythm guitarist and lead songwriter. He said, okay, I want to have Fox back in the band. And he was a little bit anxious to call me directly, so he knew Chris Von is a friend, so he made an email to him, and Chris told me that, and so we met together, and we discussed everything that was in the past, and we really brought all the problems on the table. And after that, we decided, let's make music. And that was the point when Hello was created. And Hello was really the how do you say that?
The spark, the
just
moment
light the fire, yeah.
Right, it was the spark, and I got to say also from a fan's perspective, which is what I am, it was a spark for me because you hear when a guy comes back, you go, okay, well, is it just to fill out a few extra tickets, is it going to be legitimate? And then I heard Hello, and I went, wow, they've still got it. I mean, it sounds fantastic.
It was like that because he came to me. Thomas made that song, and he had the melody, and we really wanted to try if it sounds like Chakra again. And then we made that. We tried it, and it was like coming home. It was like, oh, that's the real shit. That's what we need. And from then on, it was really like amazing. It was never in the history of Chakra. It was never like this motivation and stuff like that. Because he wrote songs, and we worked together like hell. And this was really cool. And also in the studio, it was a really great time. We had fun making music. And we never had that before, This is really a great thing.
But I want to ask you about that. Why wasn't it fun before? Was it just a question of money?
I don't want to say it was fun. It was no fun before.
Right.
But it was never that fun.
Well, okay, let me rephrase that. Why did it get to a point where you had to say, okay, this is not for me anymore. I have to go do something else. Was it just money? Was it girlfriends and wives? What was it?
Yeah, these are really many things that didn't fit together because we are really not the same personality in the band. And I think this is cool in a band to have not the same personalities, but they didn't fit together, and it was going on like having much problem with each other. We had the same thing in mind, but everyone took his position and didn't want to
they didn't want to budge. Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Right.
It's like politics,
Right. Okay,
then,
and I don't mean to cut you off, but then what has changed? And I don't want to put what you've done down because it's great, but you've done High Noon. It is a great album. I will vouch for it because I was sent it about a month ago, and I've been listening to it daily in the car.
Yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. And in fact, I'll tell you a quick story. I drove from Montreal to Ottawa, which is about 2 hours, and I had a reporter from a Swiss magazine with me called Daily Rock. You must have heard of Daily Rock.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And he was with me in the car, and I said, I've got to play the new Chakra. And he went, whatever. And he played it. I played it, and then he started taking notes. And he said, man, this is so good. I got to get these guys on the phone. I'm going to have to do something for the French Daily Rock. And so he got so excited that he wanted to interview you. And I mean, that's how good it is, that people who hear it on a car ride all of a sudden go, wow. But how do you, now that you're back, prevent all the stuff from coming back? Is it just you're all a little older, you're a little more mature, and you understand now that you had a good thing and let's not screw it up again? Or is it contracts? I mean, how do you prevent it from
No, it's not contracts. Yeah, in contracts it's just money. That's no problem. That's not a big thing we changed there because it never was the money, But it was more like a generation problem, I was 23 when I joined the band, and they were really older. Thomas is 15 years older than me, and I didn't have that experience, but I made it very fast, and they didn't believe me that I made that experience in that little time, And it was like, if I say something, Thomas said, "Oh no, it's Fox that says this." I would say it's the same, but it's Fox, so don't touch it.
Right.
And the same was like me. Oh, it's Thomas saying anything, so I don't listen to him. It's really like in rehearsal, in a
You don't listen to the kid, you don't listen to the wife, and no.
Yeah. It was really like it was crazy because it all went fast, over the years, but it all went fast. There was so much things happened, and I really we never had a problem. Kind of musician style. It was always like the egos going into the space,
Right.
If I can say that in English.
Yeah. So what I understand then is you in particular have gotten just a little older, a little wiser, and more compromising. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So with all that nasty stuff out of the way, let's focus on the album. The band, of course, is from Switzerland. You've had a lot of success. You've been around, or the band itself has been around since 97, 98. You joined in, I guess, 2003.
Yeah.
We don't really hear about you in North America. So is it frustrating that you can't play more shows here? And what can you do to be exposed to a wider audience?
Yeah, it's how do you say that? Here in Europe, it's like that. Pop music is almost the important thing for radio stations and stuff like this, and for television. So they really don't take stuff like in the middle, like we are. We are not the superstars. We are in the middle, and even Gotthard and Crocus, they don't play much more than they play us,
right?
And they play the ballads, They don't play the real stuff.
Right.
I like the ballads,
Right.
I
and by the way,
the ballads, but
I would love to see.
No. Listen,
yeah.
But they don't even play AC/DC that much here on radio stations when they're doing number one, as they do every time. So it's really like a little bit forced from some egos in the radio stations who thinks, oh, okay, I'm gonna show the world what they should listen, and I think this is not the way to do it.
You're right. And by the way, you mentioned Crocus and Gotthard. Gotthard and you three should definitely team up and have sort of the Swiss invasion tour or something and come over to Canada, because Gotthard is another underrated band, totally, unfortunately, ignored in North America, and one of the greatest bands around.
Yeah, of course.
Now, let me talk to you also about Lucifer and 2012, your two solo albums. They were obviously done because you weren't in Chakra. Is that something now that you put aside and say, let me focus on the band? Or are you still going to write Mark Fox albums? And is that something that you still plan on doing?
Well, this is a solo project, so I can take it out of the pocket whenever I want. This is a good thing, and I never do two things together. This is not good because you have no focus on it. So I really, now at the moment, this is Chakra. Chakra is my own focus, and we're going on with that. And in 10 years or 2 years or 3 years or 6 years, I can say, okay, I want to do some Fox. And then I do it, This is a great thing when you have a solo project. But never do something together, two things together, because you never have the attention for these two things, because it's a lot of work. It's songwriting, it's recording, it's promo, it's for me it's also design. all the graphic designs and stuff like that, web page and stuff like this. It's so much work. You can't do two things together.
Right. Yeah, and I think, especially for the fans, you should definitely focus on High Noon and on Chakra. The band obviously did a couple of albums also while you were not in the band.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in favor of playing one of the biggest songs from those songs in concert, or when you head out on tour, it's really going to be just the Fox era of the band?
No, absolutely not. So they are really all areas in the show. So that there are about 3 songs John sang, and they are from every album we ever made. It's like a best of, It's not. He made a good job. John made a good job. So I don't want to say, oh, he's never been there or something like that, because he made a good job,
With that though, if you're going to be doing some of, I don't know, if you're going to be doing some of the songs that he's performed, is there a thought of maybe making a new live album or a live DVD to showcase your voice on those songs?
Yeah, at the moment, I think it's really important to bring back the old roots, and if you have good shows, and that will come now, because this is the beginning of something. It's not the ending of something. It's really the beginning, And we have big contracts with Universal in Switzerland, with AFM, so we can't stop and we won't stop. This is just the beginning. And of course, there will be something like that, like a live DVD. But we wait for the right place to do that.
Right. And I can see you're grabbing a soda back there. These interviews make people thirsty. Let's talk a little bit about the album itself, though. In terms of getting it together, did you come back to the band and they said, hey, here are these songs, put your voice on it, and we'll see you in 2 weeks? Or did you actually sit together in a room and create the music, come up with the lyrics, and say, this is the direction of the band?
No, it's Thomas Master. He's always doing the main songwriting. This is really like he's doing the riffs at home and record it, and then he comes to me, and then we try melodics, the melodies, and then everything. How should it sound? And it's really like a good cooperation between us two. And then if we got, there's only one. How do you say that? Verse and the chorus.
Right.
That's all. And if that works, then we go to the rehearsal room, and then we're gonna try. What comes next? Which bridge, which chorus comes there? Which special part or something like that? Which solo? And also Tom, he's a really great songwriter. We're doing the same way. There's always the idea at first of a riff, and then of this atmosphere we build.
For you coming back to the band and getting back into the studio, was there a certain nervousness? Were you sort of like, oh, okay, I said yes, I'm going to do this, but now what? Or was there an excitement like, yeah, this is really where I belong. Let's do this.
The only fear I had is that so much fans had a bad, how do you say that? A bad feeling.
Bad feeling, yeah.
Because I left, and that they don't take me right when I come back. And that's what I was preparing for that when we released that news. Oh, I'm back in Chakra. I was preparing for oh, okay, there are many people who say, oh no, what they're doing now. And I was wrong. So this is really a great thing for me because I can really be happy the old fans are with me. The new ones that will come too. So, it's for me, it's like coming home, as I said.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's for the guys too, because we had one, the first show we had, and we didn't begin the tour right now. We had one promotion show for Ex Libris. You don't know that. This is a store. A store chain here in Switzerland who sells CDs, and we made 3 songs live there, and it was really one of the important gigs ever in my life, and for the others too, because no one knew on stage how this would be, and it was really great. It was really like fun, like having fun like we had before on stage. No, it was like you can't imagine how it was.
I can, I can imagine it. It must have been great. We'll end on this. One of the big news stories these days, of course, is Guns N' Roses reuniting, and the band Chakra and yourself played a show with them back in 2006.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, and what was it like being in the Axl entourage?
For me, I'm a big fan of Axl Rose,
Yeah, absolutely. Best frontman in the
I
business.
don't understand people who say, oh no, Slash is better without Axl Rose. I don't understand this, because Slash is great, Axl Rose is great, so put this together. And that's the same thing we made. We put the right things together again, and then it works. And how older you are, the more you can slow down with the emotions, like the other one, what he's doing, like stuff like that, And really, we were on stage in the Hallenstadion in Switzerland. It's one of the biggest places to play, and it was great. I was going out on stage. We had I think about half an hour or something like that to play. I went out there and said, we are Chakra from Switzerland, and there are 15,000 people. They are really excited. So excited. This was really great. It's like a ball coming to you. It's like a woo. And I never want to miss that. This is really great. And I saw the show of Axl with his band after that. And I really thought it great. I really like Chinese Democracy. I don't know why people don't like that, because it's really great songwriting. It's really
it is.
Yeah.
And I actually listened to Chinese.
It's really like, they're not together, so it's not cool.
Well,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's
of
really
course.
like, it's the same thing in Crocus. It's the same thing in many other bands. It's the same thing in Black Sabbath too. Ozzy's back. Yeah, okay, Ozzy is back.
Yeah, people love Ozzy and stuff, but I certainly hope you get to open for Guns N' Roses again, because that'd be great. And
I hope so too. Yeah.
As a fan here in Montreal, I really will reiterate again: High Noon is definitely going to be, when I make my top 10 list at the end of 2016, it's going to be in there. It is that good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I encourage people listening to it to definitely go buy it. And Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, let's do another one soon, like in 6 months, and get an update on how the tour is going and how the band's feeling. And
okay,
anything I can do to help. Thank you.
Anytime.
Merci. Merci, bonsoir, as we say. Thank you.
Bonsoir.
Good night. Great. And there you have it, folks, my interview with Mark Fox of the band Chakra. The new album is High Noon. I want to take a moment to thank Michael Lardie and Mark Kendall of Great White for being on the show as well. And we are getting to that time of the year where, what's that? Heavy Montreal is coming up. Expect some news very, very shortly. Thank you, folks. Thank you for listening. Check me out at Mitch Lafon on Twitter, One on One with Mitch Lafon on Facebook. Follow everything I do. Share if you like it. And hey, bye for now. See ya.